I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network, and this is a breaking news alert. Special Counsel Jack Smith has officially sent a target letter to Donald Trump in connection with Donald Trump's criminal election interference. Special Counsel Jack Smith has been involved in a sprawling criminal investigation into Donald Trump's 2020 election interference, and it seems that indictments are imminent. A target letter like the one sent by Special Counsel Jack Smith to Donald Trump would indicate that an indictment is imminent. And recall, with respect to Special Counsel Jack Smith charging Donald Trump for the theft of classified records, willful retention of national defense information under the Espionage Act, obstruction of justice, conspiracy, and making false statements in the 37-count indictment now pending in the federal court for the Southern District of Florida, when we reported that a target letter was sent. Shortly thereafter, the indictment was ultimately handed down. It is being reported that as part of the target letter that was just sent by Special Counsel Jack Smith, Donald Trump was invited to speak before the grand jury that is investigating Donald Trump's crimes, that is currently impaneled in Washington, D.C. In the past, where Donald Trump has been invited to speak to grand juries, whether it was in connection with the Manhattan District Attorney's criminal investigation, now criminal case for 34 separate felony counts, or other matters, Donald Trump has rejected that opportunity to tell his side to the grand jury, choosing instead to whine and spread conspiracy theories. But that grand jury in Washington, D.C. is expected to meet later this week, and so it is possible that we can see indictments as early as the end of this week or next week, but I think we will be seeing an indictment of Donald Trump. I think it'll be a sprawling indictment with potentially hundreds of counts sometime in August or sometime at the end of this month, but I expect that indictment of Donald Trump is imminent. Just to refresh your recollection of the various prongs of Special Counsel Jack Smith's criminal investigation into Donald Trump's election interference, let's remember this is separate and distinct from Special Counsel Jack Smith's criminal case against Donald Trump for the willful retention of national defense information at Mar-a-Lago. That is a case that has already been filed. Donald Trump has been indicted. That is proceeding. In fact, there is a hearing on July 18th taking place already. Now, with respect to election interference, Special Counsel Jack Smith's investigating Donald Trump's conduct relating to the insurrection itself, and this could be obstruction of an official proceeding, which carries with it a 20-year prison sentence. It could potentially be seditious conspiracy, which the Oath Keepers, Proud Boys, and others have been charged with, and many have been convicted on, which carries with it a 20-year prison sentence. But the crimes relating to aiding and abetting this violent mob, this violent insurrection, that to me is prong one, to obstruct the counting of the electoral votes on January 6th. Prong two, the fake electoral scheme whereby Donald Trump had this conspiracy with a lot of his top agents to basically reach out to MAGA Republicans in the various states and state legislatures and basically have them sign their names on fake electoral certificates in states that President Biden won. So, for example, we'll just take Michigan, for example, and Georgia, for example. Each have 16 electoral votes in 2020. President Biden, then candidate Biden, won those states. So the normal process is Biden wins those states. Biden gets the 16 electors from those states. The Secretary of State signs off on the electoral certificates of the electors in the state. And that gets sent to be counted by then Vice President Pence on January 6th. Then Pence's job is just to count. That's the job of the vice president. The scheme by Donald Trump was to get these MAGA Republicans in the states to create fake fraudulent electoral certificates, like states like Michigan and Georgia and others, saying that Donald Trump won those states, submitting the fraudulent electoral certificate to former then Vice President Pence to count those, so that on January 6th, Pence would say, hey, I've got a dispute between this certificate and that certificate. I'm going to have to go with the Trump certificate. Or to have Pence say, a lot of confusion here. I'm going to throw it back to the state legislatures, and the ones that were going to be controlled by Donald Trump's allies were going to overturn a free and fair election. So that's the fake elector scheme. I think a big part of this criminal indictment, and I've been saying follow the money, Special Counsel Jack Smith has been doing just that, focused on money laundering and campaign finance violations and wire fraud charges. These are the false and fraudulent representations made by Donald Trump and his political action organizations, or whatever you call them, to try to defraud people, saying things like there's an election defense fund, which didn't even exist, to raise tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars. The Trump campaign, the Trump political action arms, knowing that what they were saying about the election was false, but making the false statements in order to raise money off of their false statements. And then I think the next major prong are these threats and extortive conduct directed towards state and local election officials. Everything from extorting Brad Raffensperger in Georgia, find me the 11,780 votes or else, and also conspiring with MAGA Republicans in states like the MAGA Republican chair of Coffee County, Georgia, and having this MAGA Republican chair essentially, I mean, she walked in and she was let into the local election office in Coffee County, but basically breaking in the sense that they stole sensitive election data of people, transmitted it back to the Trump campaign so that the Trump campaign could manipulate it and spread more conspiracies about the 2020 election. Ben Meiselas here from the MeidasTouch network. You know, my old mattress was very low quality. It would overheat while my fiance and I were laying in it, making for a terrible night's sleep. Then I discovered 8 Sleep, spelled EIGHT, sleep. It's been transformative. You know, I didn't get much sleep already because of all the work that I do. And I always see in the comments, Ben, you need to get more rest. Well, with 8 Sleep, it's given me the rest that I finally need. It's truly been transformative. During the summer, while it's super hot, you know, I'm used to tossing and turning or sweating in the night when I do get some rest, but not with 8 Sleep. The pod cover by 8 Sleep is going to keep you cool all night, all the way down to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. So you're going to wake up fully refreshed the way I am right now. The pod cover by 8 Sleep fits any bed like a fitted sheet. And this pod cover, it's going to improve your sleep automatically by adjusting the temperature on each side of the bed based on your and your partner's individual needs. The first time I slept in an 8 Sleep and it brought the temperature down was like the greatest feeling I've ever had in my sleep period. And every night I look forward to 8 Sleep. I talk about this constantly with my brothers, with friends and family. I say, hey, you got to get this 8 Sleep thing. It is so, so great. So it definitely gets the Ben Meiselas personal endorsement. I can't say more positive things about this pod cover. It's going to cool you down if you want it to warm you up, and it's based on the phases of your sleep and the environment you're in. It adjusts for you. I love the temperature control and that both me and my fiance can set our side to each of our likings. I wake up feeling refreshed after a great night's sleep, allowing me to start the day off right. It's got great technology too. It's got this app that tracks your sleep. And when you wake up, you get your personalized sleep report. Look, I've never experienced sleep like this before. The pod's cooling technology is a lifesaver this summer. It's It's incredible. Here's what you got to do. Go to 8sleep.com/Midas, EIGHTSLEEP.com/Midas. Save $150 on the pod cover. It's the best offer you're going to find. Stay cool this summer with 8 Sleep. It's now shipping within the US, Canada, the UK, select countries in the EU, and Australia. That's 8sleep.com, EIGHTSLEEP.com/Midas. You're going to love it. So those are the major prongs of Special Counsel Jack Smith's criminal investigation into Trump's election interference, where a target letter was just sent. Multiple media outlets are also confirming that this target letter was sent, and Donald Trump is responding to the target letter that was sent as well. He put a ranting, rambling message on his social media platform. I'll read some of it right now. Statement by Donald Trump. It says, "Wow." That's how the press release starts. "On Sunday night, while I was with my family, having just arrived from the Turning Point event in Florida, where I won the straw poll against all other Republican candidates with 85.7%, with all polls showing me leading in the Republican primary by very substantial numbers, almost everyone predicting that I will be the Republican nominee for president, and as I am leading Democrat Joe Biden in the polls by a lot." That's not true. "Horrifying news for our country was given to me by my attorneys." Not horrifying news at all. "Deranged Jack Smith, the prosecutor with Joe Biden's DOJ, sent a letter," again it was Sunday night, "stating that I am a target of the January 6th grand jury investigation and giving me a very short 4 days to report to the grand jury, which almost always means an arrest and indictment. So now Joe Biden's Attorney General, Merrick Garland, who I turned down for the United States Supreme Court," it's not true, "in retrospect, based on his corrupt and unethical actions, a very wise decision, together with Joe Biden's Department of Injustice, have effectively issued a third indictment and arrest of Joe Biden's #1 political opponent, who is largely dominating him in the race for presidency." Again, not true. "Nothing like this has ever happened in our country before, or even close. Nothing in our country has ever happened where an authoritarian like you is trying to destroy our democracy and has allied himself with authoritarians across the world like Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un. They illegally spied on my campaign. No, they didn't. Attacked me with totally fake dossier that was funded by Hillary Clinton's campaign and the DNC. Not true. Impeached me twice. I won. You were impeached twice, but the MAGA Republicans in the Senate covered for you. They failed on the Mueller witch hunt. No collusion. Numerous people were indicted and convicted, including your campaign manager, national security advisor, and others. They failed on the Russia hoax, the 51 intelligence agents fraud, the FBI Twitter files, the DOJ Facebook censorship, and every other scam imaginable. But on top of all of that, they have now effectively indicted me 3 times, the DOJ staff, and run the DA's office in Manhattan. That's not true. With a probable 4th coming from Atlanta, where the DOJ are in strict and possibly illegal coordination with the district attorney. That's not true. Whose record on murder and other violent crime is abysmal. Now he puts this all in caps. The witch hunt is all about election interference, complete and total weaponization of law enforcement. A very sad day and dark day for our nation. Not at all. It goes on to say, under the United States Constitution, I have the right to protest an election that I am fully convinced was rigged and stolen. You lost by 7-8 million votes. It wasn't even close. You got destroyed by the Electoral College. There's no electoral fraud. You commissioned 2 studies personally, setting aside all of the other investigations that were done. And the 2 studies you paid over $1 million to combine, almost $1 million each, told you there was no fraud capable of overturning the election. Everybody close to you on Team Normal told you that there was no election fraud capable of overturning the election. You're just a deranged maniac. Just as the Democrats have done against me in 2016 and many others have done over the ages, but the Democrats have gone much further than has ever happened before. They cheated on the elections, not true. Rather than looking at the cheaters, the weaponized DOJ and FBI target and harass those who complain about the cheaters and the massive fraud that took place. The prosecutor involved in this case, and likewise the Boxes hoax, the Manhattan and Atlanta district attorneys, the New York AG, etc., have overturned unanimously in the Supreme Court, headed and caused the Lois Lerner IRS scandal, and failed miserably in his prosecution of John Edwards, where the case was forced to be dropped, along with numerous other catastrophes. He has had a vicious but disastrous career and is known, biased, and obsessed Trump hater, as is his family. That's what Donald Trump does, attack Jack Smith's family. Whether it's their failure to mention the Presidential Records Act, prosecutorial misconduct, they do mention the Presidential Act, that it doesn't apply in the classified records case. It's not a criminal statute, and they say it borders on frivolous that you mention the Presidential Records Act. It has nothing to do with you stealing classified records. No one can steal classified records and claim mine. That doesn't exist. We don't have kings and emperors in the United States of America. Their dominance of the Manhattan DA, including the fact that a Hillary Clinton lawyer, Mark Pomerantz, left a top Democratic law firm run by Chuck Schumer's brother to join the DA's office and become a prosecutor against me, and then quit against all rules and regulations and laws when the office would not prosecute. He wrongfully wrote a book while working at the office and is now under scrutiny, or a perfect phone call made to many lawyers and a Secretary of State without any protestation of my call because nothing said was wrong. They recorded you, and they did say what you were doing was wrong and criminal. It was clearly a complaint about an election. These are all hoaxes and scams made up to stop me from fighting for the American people, but I will never stop. This has been a never-ending fight from the day I came down the escalator in Trump Tower many years ago. So interesting that in this case, the information was delivered to me on Sunday night, less than 24 hours that I suggested during a major speech that the federal government assume control of a filthy, unsanitary, neglected, and crime-ridden Washington, D.C., where murder and violent crime are rampant and people no longer want to go to our nation's capital, again, just spreading these deranged conspiracies. And yet, that is where Biden's DOJ actually wants my trial to take place, all because they think, especially after my strong words of a federal takeover at the speech, a DC jury will do whatever they want. Very unfair exclamation point. What a whiny traitor. What a whiny traitor. And again, saying that he spied on in 2016. This is a delusional, malignant, narcissistic traitor. There's no other way to say it, and other media networks better wake up right now to the threat that this deranged, authoritarian Hitler wannabe presents to this country. It is that simple. This is no laughing matter, and I'm sick and tired of large media networks reading this and just saying, oh, Donald Trump wrote a post attacking the Department of Justice in very strong terms. Just say that he's a freaking fascist. Say who he is. Call him out, and enough with this. Hold this maniac, malignant, narcissist, criminal traitor, someone who will destroy our country, accountable. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Thankfully, we have a Department of Justice right now with Merrick Garland and now Special Counsel Jack Smith, who was appointed Special Counsel, who care about law and order, who care about our democracy. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers thanks to your support. Have an excellent day.
Hey, Midas Mighty. Love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.